Bill O'Reilly here. Welcome to the No Spin News. Tuesday, October 4th, 2022. Stand up for your country. One of the ways you stand up for your country is to vote. But I'm getting the feeling that the midterm election, as important as it is, and absolutely probably the most important midterm in my lifetime here as an American citizen, I get the feeling that turnout's going to be a little lower than people think. We live in an age of tribalism. We live in an age of self-centricity where people are caught up in whatever they do. There's not a unifying force in this nation at all now. November 8th is going to roll around pretty fast. And people are, you don't have a Trump, who's a magnet for love-hate. You don't have that. It's a lot of theory. The media has declined in visibility and in influence. So it's basically on the American people themselves. And that is the subject of this evening's Talking Points Memo. Now, Republicans should be motivated. I mean, if you're a Republican or a conservative individual who's registered independent and you're not motivated now, you're never going to be motivated. Okay? Because the country has veered so sharply left. And there's so much insanity and destruction visible. You can see it. You can see it. That if you don't vote now, you're never going to vote. And then add to that the higher prices for everything and the pursuit of happiness declining all over the place. How many people are really happy? We got to worry about our bills, got to worry about our jobs, got to worry about our kids and the culture. I mean, worry. So if you're a Republican or conservative, you're motivated to vote. Will you vote? I think you will in greater numbers than the Democrats. So the Democrats, there are tribes that will vote. The abortion tribe will absolutely come out. But those tribes are becoming more and more and more. They call it Balkanized. The Balkans are a region in Europe, and there are a lot of countries in the Balkan region, different places, different cultures. That's what's happening in the Democratic Party. Got the far, far left that are driving the power there. But most African Americans aren't far left people. They're not. They're people who want attention, who want fairness, who believe they've gotten hosed throughout history. I'm generalizing, of course. But are they happy with the Democratic Party? How could you be? I mean, the bad economics, inflation, real wages going down, affects African Americans the most because they have the least. So are you going to trot on out there? I don't think so. I think the African American vote's going to be suppressed. And that does not show up in the polls, by the way. It's not that the African Americans are going to pull the lever with the Republicans. I don't think so. More Hispanics will, though. That's for sure. It's a different situation, different culture, obviously. So I'm going to give you some stats now. Monmouth poll first. Not a reliable poll. This is a university in New Jersey. It's a good school. But they're not right a lot. However, they took a survey of 806 adults, 29% Democrat, 28 Republican, Independent 43. That's fair. That's fair. And they asked the following: do you approve or disapprove of the job U.S. Congress is doing? Approve 23, disapprove 66. So that's not a good sign for Congress. Which is more important to you in deciding who to support for Congress? Fundamental rights in the democratic process or the economy and cost of living? Rights, democratic process, 38. Economy, cost of living, 54. So right there, you got to give the Republicans a big advantage, a 16-point spread. Okay? Next question, would you rather see Republicans or Democrats in control of Congress? Republicans 36, lean Republican 11 for a 47 total. Democrats 34, lean Democrat 10 for a 44. That's very tight. Tighter than I would think in this age of inflation and declining wages. It's tight, according to this poll. Final question. This is month to month. So in August 2022, which party you want to control Congress? Republicans 43, Democrats 50. And now, September, Republican 47, Democrats 44. That's a big sweep. Okay, so Democrats lost a lot of ground in the past few weeks. Trafalgar poll. This is a better poll. It is fairly accurate, or has been in the past. 1,079 likely voters. Democrat 39, Republican 36, nonpartisan 25. First question, how much does the increase in the price of groceries impact your motivation to vote in 22? Very much 51, somewhat 17 for 68 plurality. Not much 16, not at all 16, 32. So that's a key right there. People are go to the grocery store, they have to go. Every time they go, they don't like the Democrats, right? So price hikes. This is according to the Washington Post. Eggs up 40% from last year. 40%. Those chickens are living large. Butter up 29. Deli meats 18. Milk 17. Bread 17. Cereal 17. Canned vegetables 17. Potatoes 15%. So the things that Americans most eat are up substantially. Despite all this, Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House, fanatical progressive, doesn't particularly care about the country, in my opinion, my humble opinion, wants power, wants to keep power. So she goes on Colbert, their brother and sister, and she says, hey, Democrats going to keep the House. Go.
Okay. Here's the thing. When we won in 2020, and again, fewer seats, but still holding the House, we started right away to prepare for the next election in terms of organization. Own the ground. When you mobilize, you must own the ground to take out the vote.
And that's true. Democrats are much better at that than the Republicans. Now you'll say, oh, cheating. And yeah, okay. Zuckerberg pumps $500 million into the 2020 election. It's legal, even though he's being sued. But the Democrats, they know who the voters are. They know where they live. They're going up and they're going to knock on a door. Will it matter now that Trump's not in the equation? That's the key. But I would bet Pelosi a fairly high wager that she's going to be out of a job. Not going to be Speaker of the House come January. Now, the Senate is harder because you got guys like Herschel Walker. So Walker should win that seat in Georgia by a lot. All right, he's been on this program. I know him a little bit. But every 2 weeks, there's another scandal about Herschel Walker. And the latest one is that he had a girlfriend and he paid for an abortion for the girlfriend. Now, the news agency to put that out is a far left, revolting news agency, Daily Beast. It's like, okay. And Walker went on Hannity last night and said this. Go.
I never asked anyone to get an abortion. I never paid for an abortion, and it's a lie. And I'm going to continue to fight. I tell you, that's what they want. They want this seat.
Okay, here's what you got to do, Herschel. And I'm just talking to you like a human being here. This is a serious accusation. If you did it, you got to say you did it. I don't know how you do that, but you can't lie about it. If you did not do it, then you got to go after the Daily Beast. You got to have your attorneys sue them. And if there is a person alleging that she had an abortion, you got to sue that person. If you did not do it. And you have to do that now. So that the people in Georgia who are going, what the deuce is this? Every 2 weeks we got another child fathered by Mr. Walker or this or whatever. But if this is not true, then your lawyers have to mobilize now. And you have to hold a press conference with your lawyers and you have to say, this is false, it never happened, and we're going to file this against the Daily Beast. Now, if you do that, and indeed if you did not pay for an abortion, then that will turn that race around. You'll win your seat because Georgians will see you, rightly, as a victim of this smear. But if you did it, you're going to lose. Even if you admit you did it, you're going to lose. And Warnock, who is as progressive as it gets, will win the Georgia seat that should be held by a Republican because the citizenry of Georgia is not basically progressive. Just two places are, Atlanta and Savannah. That's it. In that whole state, that's all. So when I see that, I'm saying to myself, this is what might tilt the Senate to the Democrats or keep it tied when then Harris breaks the tie. Bill O'Reilly here. Vidgo, Vidgo, is a new streaming service that gives you live sports and programming you want at a price you can afford. With Vidgo, I get live sports networks, including ESPN and Fox Sports, along with incredible access to college football games, with 80% of every televised college football game in the first 3 weeks of September. 80%. Vidgo also has a great choice of news and entertainment program, including The First, Fox News, Newsmax, and more. On my new weekly program called Shock and Awe, exclusively on Vidgo, I'll break down the most important issues of the week, asking bold and fresh questions and sitting down for exclusive interviews with America's top news makers. For a limited time, when you sign up for Vidgo, you can also get a copy of my new book, Killing the Legends, free and get $15 off Vidgo's premium service. So please go to Vidgo, vidgo.com/BillBook. Sign up now. Okay, another last one. And this is, most people see themselves as victims from time to time. I try never to do that in my own circumstance, although I have been victimized, and so have you. So have everybody. We've all been victimized. That's just part of the human condition. But according to a Pew study, and Pew is pretty good, that both sides, conservative and liberal, feel they are losing the culture war. Both sides feel they're losing. So 72% of Americans feel their side is losing. And it breaks down to 81% of Republicans and conservatives feel they're losing the culture war to the Democrats, and 66% of liberal Democrats feel they're losing the culture war to Republicans. That's just interesting. It's caught my eye. All right, Biden's schedule today did nothing. More reproductive health care. Yeah, okay. He's going to Florida tomorrow. I assume he'll be greeted by Governor DeSantis. We're tracking it. Nothing much. This is going to be more federal money that Biden signs over to Florida, which is it has to happen in these storms. Biden federal spending in 2 years up above $2 trillion now. Did you know that? $2 trillion in new spending, not stuff that he inherited. And that's why inflation is going crazy. You can't spend at that level. You drive the value of the dollar down. Your dollars don't mean anything if there's $2 trillion more in circulation. Okay. Here's and I have to congratulate my staff for getting this data in a very short period of time, because I'm a pest. I'm always calling them and saying, hey, we got to get this, we got to get that. So I wanted to know if any Democrat running for office in November, 5 weeks from today, if anybody had requested Joe Biden come in and campaign alongside them. Just give me one. No one. Now, Trump, as you know, is running around all over the place, campaigning for Republicans who ask him to come in. Not one Biden. Nobody. My staff found it out. We went over all the races. Nobody wants Biden. What does that tell you? Oh, boy. All right, Doug Schoen. Here he is, everyone, our go-to election guy, Democratic political strategist, but an honest man. And he studies his stuff every day. He's kind of in shadow here. Where are you? Are you in some office someplace, or you're not in your house?
I'm in an office that is dimly lit, Bill. My apologies.
It's all right. You look better.
Thank you.
That was a cheap shot. I didn't really mean that, though.
No, come on. Come on. No problem.
All right, so we ran down a whole bunch of stuff. And the most important to me is the groceries. So you got people. So I don't know. You know a lot of Democrats. How, if you're a Democrat, can you vote Democrat with all the bad stuff happening in the country?
Well, two things, Bill. First, what you said about groceries is that inflation is a lot higher than the 8 to 10% we're being told. And people feel that. That's number one. And number two, what Democratic candidates are doing is not only not campaigning with Joe Biden, they're running away from the Democratic Party, the national leadership, and the ideology of the Inflation Reduction Act and big spending. So my party is literally in retreat.
All right. So they are banking on abortion and other niche issues in their own states to win. That's what I'm getting here, right? They're not going to run on the national issues. They're trying to get a localized issue with abortion in the forefront.
They are, but the polling that I think we discussed last time, and certainly the case now, abortion is receding as an issue as inflation and the cost of living are becoming more and more important, which is what's helping the Republicans. And the Democrats, as you suggested, and correctly, Bill, are out of ideas.
Okay, so the Democrats don't really have anything to run on. If you were consulting for a Democratic Senate candidate, what would you tell them? Run on what?
I tell them you're standing against the national party, you stand against their positions, and you're for the local citizenry of whatever state it is against Washington. That's what I tell them. Not a great argument.
We're not seeing a lot of, hey, let's seal up the border again from Democratic candidates anywhere. We're not seeing that. And that's a huge issue. We're not seeing that Joe Biden's incompetent on the economy. They never say that because they need the money coming out of the Democratic campaigns. They need funding, right?
All true. To me, the big issue, particularly in states like Arizona and Nevada, where there are two competitive Senate races, is the border. And that issue in and of itself could be enough to give the Republicans control of the Senate.
But Kelly, who's going to win in Arizona, I believe, he's a Democrat there. He's a gun guy, and he basically says, I want law and order down on the border. I mean, he's not an open border guy, and the candidate against him doesn't seem to be making any headway. Laxalt in Nevada, I think, will win. And it's not even as close as they polls say it is out there. I think he's going to win fairly easily. But let's go to Walker in Georgia. Do you disagree with my analysis there?
No, not at all, Bill. Herschel Walker should be 5 to 10 points ahead, as Governor Kemp is. And Herschel Walker, if he is able to credibly maintain that he didn't pay for the woman's abortion, does have a 50-50 chance of winning. But as you pointed out correctly, the narrative is about Herschel Walker personally, not about Republicans and Democrats and the issues facing us. If that happens, it only hurts Herschel Walker.
Now, I have said that I believe that African American voters will not turn out in the numbers they did 2 years ago. Do you believe that?
I tend to agree with it because African Americans usually vote in presidential elections more heavily. The Trump factor motivated them, some for him, more against him. And this year, the Democrats do not have a motivating theme or issue or argument to get minority voters out. And your point about Hispanics is exactly right. The Republican percentage there is well over 40% and growing.
What about the violent crime issue that the Republican senatorial and congressional conducts are hitting very hard? Why wouldn't the African American community suffering at the hands of violent crime more so than the white affluent community, obviously? Why wouldn't they turn against the Democrats who are making the violent crime easier? Why wouldn't they vote Republican?
Two reasons, Bill. First, the Democrats have managed to racialize the issue so that if you're pro law and order, you're pro, cop and pro Republican. But second, the Republicans haven't made that argument, Bill, the way you make it, which is that the importance of the crime issue to minorities is much more important to them than to the majority white community. If the Republicans did it, it would only advantage them with minorities.
Yeah, I mean, it's just insane if you look at the stats and the victimization, the violent crime victims in places like New York City and Chicago. It's 85% of the victims of violent crime are black. And it's black on black crime. Not whites killing them.
Right.
And you're right. I haven't seen that really in the forefront. Now, Donald Trump, the Democrats obviously want him in the next 5 weeks to be a part of the election so they can mobilize people who hate Trump. How do you think that Trump, or are you seeing any difference in Trump's demeanor now that the midterms are closing in?
I think Trump is toning down his act a good deal, Bill, at least from what I see. And the media at this point is giving him less attention than they had previously during the raid and when the January 6 hearings were in full swing. So my sense as the election approaches, Trump will be less and less important to how people vote, except for the hardcore Democrats who hate Trump and will be voting against the Republicans, regardless of Trump nor no Trump in the mix.
But the January 6th committee is going to drop their final report, I'd say within 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, and try to make Trump the center of it again. Trying to say, okay, Trump did it. That's what they're going to do. And everybody knows they're going to do it. Will that bring Trump back in as a factor in the midterms?
It will bring him back if, one, the media tries to make him, which I think they will, but number two, how Trump reacts. If Trump has a discrete and specific comment, rebuts it, and then moves on, it will be far less potent as an issue against the Republicans.
I don't know if I'd count on that, Doug.
I'm not counting on
I've got a Trump segment coming up.
All the trends are benefiting the Republicans, as you suggested with the Monmouth poll, and the data is pretty clear for the reasons you suggested in your talking points memo, and your audience should remember that.
Well, they will remember because I'm so obnoxious. I remind them every 2 minutes. I'm not going to make a prediction now. I will make it probably 2 weeks before the election, and that's when we'll talk to you again, because things change so far. But right now, if the election were held tomorrow, I would say Republicans will win both the House and the Senate. And I think you think that too, Doug, right?
I do think that, yeah.
Right. And we appreciate it.
Even though the conventional wisdom is to the contrary.
Yeah, but conventional wisdom, come on. We're much smarter than that. You know they.
I'd like to think so, Bill.
Hey, Doug, it's always great talking to you. Thanks very much. The audience loves you. The audience loves you. I get so much positive mail on you, and we'll talk to you in a couple of weeks.
Well, I appreciate the chance to talk with you. It's always a pleasure, Bill.
Okay. Do you care about your privacy? Giant tech companies and different alphabet agencies within the U.S. government are spying on our messages, abusing our privacy, monetizing our data. Frankly, you are probably not paying enough attention to what's going on, and neither am I. Secure, spelled S-E-K-U-R, has proprietary technology allowing you to send messages and emails encrypted and hosted in Switzerland. This means they are not subject to the Cloud Act. They're only subject to Swiss laws, which are some of the safest in the world. Secure is a company that actually cares about your freedom and privacy. That's why they built this platform and why they are sponsoring my program. Best of all, they are offering 15% off when you use promo code BILL. So please go to secure.com, that's SEKUR.com, use promo code BILL. For less than $10, you can get Secure today. Final thought of the day, on the internet, they have my SAT scores, okay? And they say, when I graduated from high school, I had an almost perfect SAT of 1585. This is on the internet. Not true. It's not close to being true. I think I had 500 points lower than that. Now, even though this helps me, because it makes me look very smart on the internet, it's not true. Now, the powerscore.com put it up, but they say, well, we haven't been able to confirm the validity, but it's there. And I'm trying to tell you about the internet. Even though that helps me, I don't want it there. I was lucky I broke 1,000 in the SATs. I was a dopey kid. Still a little dopey, but it's much smarter now. Don't believe on the internet, please. All right, thank you for watching and listening, our radio listeners all across the country, to the No Spin News. We'll see you tomorrow. AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, is the leading conservative advocacy and benefits organization in America. I am an AMAC member, and you should be too. AMAC gives you access to exclusive benefits, insightful takes on today's news, and a magazine full of uncensored content that you will not find anywhere else. Most importantly, AMAC is working tirelessly to preserve the freedoms enshrined and secured by our Constitution. AMAC has become one of the most impactful organizations in America because more than just talk, AMAC gets things done. They are pushing back against the efforts to defund our police, weaken the borders, and replace your freedom with government control. But they need your help. Stand with me and more than 2 million patriots and join AMAC today at amac.us. That's amac.us. amac.us, and tell them O'Reilly sent you.